In recent weeks, we've heard a lot and distressing news about suicide and people in different circumstances arranging so that they can take their own lives. And we've been asked to think about the situation of those who assist them in this. These are distressing situations, and clearly anyone who even begins to think of taking their own life must have been in great distress for a long time. But I would like to think about these things with you, not so much from that emotional point of view, but from a moral or an ethical point of view. Is it right for a person to take their own life? Is it right for the Crown Prosecution Service not to proceed towards accusing somebody of assisting in suicide? How do we think about these things? Well, the first point I'd like to make is to do with our trust of one another, and not least our trust of the medical profession, and how we relate to those who care for us. And it's a very important part of the law of the land to protect that trust, which is an important moral value. And therefore, I think we have the right to be concerned that if laws are passed about suicide and assisting suicide, then we will lose that basic trust in those in whose hands we find ourselves when we can no longer care for and look after ourselves. The second point is much more important. I think morally we can recognize that our lives are never just our own business. We always live in relationship with one another and in fact in dependence on one another. We are only born not of our own will, but of the will and the actions of other people, and, in the eyes of faith, through the action of God. So life is never my own to do what I want with. And certainly, when that moral principle is supported by religious faith, then we know where we stand. We are children of God, dependent on one another, and dependent ultimately on when God calls us from this life. Now, that does not mean we have to go to every length to preserve our lives and to extend it. But we do have to do what's reasonable. And we do have to provide people with basic nutrition and liquids so that their life may come to an end in God's time in a natural way and not be cut short deliberately and intentionally by our actions or indeed by their own. Life is a great gift of God and a gift that God gives to us through one another. We never on our own can decide how it should end.